So, did ARI create the perfect XC bike with the Signal Peak 3.0? This thing feels very similar to the Mach 4 SL. If we can hit it on an XC bike, no problem. Oh my God, you guys. XC in the year 2025, insane. I'm on a 110mm travel XC bike. What's up, you guys? Mo Awesome from Awesome MTB. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another bike review. Today we have the brand new ARI Signal Peak that was just released today. I've actually been riding this bike for the last month, so before the release, and I've also raced it. Yes, I have become a racer. Well, I've done one race and then I think I retired after because I don't think I'm ever going to do something like that again. There's some stuff that I absolutely love about this bike and there's some stuff that I don't necessarily love. I want to talk about that in this video. Now, this bike is going to be part of a bigger series. We have two series coming at you guys soon, so stay tuned for a lot of projects. I consider myself a little bit of an XC bike expert at this point. It's really exciting to be able to compare this to those and tell you guys how it stacks up, but you guys will be able to see that soon, so stay tuned for that series. So what is new with the brand new ARI Signal Peak? So for the third iteration of this bike, we got a little bit of a slacker head angle. We have a little bit of a steeper seat angle. I feel like all that stuff is normal with bike updates nowadays. We have 120mm of travel up front. We have 110mm of travel in the rear, and we're actually going with a flex day suspension design. So similar to bikes like the Epic, the Candle Scalpel, the Yeti ASR. We have that flex day option going on here. What that allows companies to do, allows them to get the bikes a little bit lighter, but still mimic a more horse-link suspension design, so you get a better feeling from your suspension design and you save weight on your overall build. Now, for reference, I'm 6'2" with about an 805 saddle height. This is a size extra large bike, and this thing fits me like a glove. Now, this is their Pro build, so up front we have a RockShox Sid Ultimate fork with a RockShox Sid Lux Ultimate rear shock. Now, we do have a remote lockout. It's the RockShox Twist Lock with a 3-position lockout, so we do have in pedal setting as well as a locked out and an open. The drivetrain, we have a SRAM EXO transmission drivetrain. For the dropper post, I actually have a 1-up dropper post on here, and we have 1-up carbon handlebars, my favorite. SRAM level stealth 4-piston brakes on here. Now, stock, the RE Pro build actually comes with DT Swiss 1700 wheels. I went ahead and put carbon wheels on here, so these are actually Cannondale's hologram wheel sets. Just want some carbon wheels on here for some of the racing I was doing, or the one race and then I retired. Now, in terms of pricing, that's where the magic happens with RE. The Pro build with the EXO transmission and the DT Swiss 1700 wheel set is coming in right under 6K at $59.99, which is pretty insane because you get top of the line suspension on there and that 3-position lockout. So where I think the real magic happens is actually the 2 build kits below this, because on both of those you're also going to be getting remote lockouts, and it's very rare that companies will spec remote lockouts without top of the line suspension. So it's really cool to see, especially if you're a high school racer, say you're doing NICA, or say you're looking for a more budget friendly XC bike but you still want to race it. I think remote lockouts are super important for XC, and it's cool to see that being offered on the full range from ARI. Now, ARI was able to shave some weight with the current iteration of the Signal Peak, and my build with XTR pedals is coming in right over 26 pounds. I also have the kilogram rating on the screen. You guys probably see it here. We have some viewers that aren't in the US that always ask me for that. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you guys leave a comment, if you do, I'll keep doing it. Now, like I said, the new ARI Signal Peak 3.0 has some changes that have made me absolutely love this bike. I've put so much time in this. Let's go take you guys out on the trail so you guys see how this rides, and then we're going to talk about what I love about this bike, what I don't necessarily love, and do I think the ARI Signal Peak is a good bike for you. Guys, another day, another bike review. This has been one of my favorite bikes I've been riding over the last few weeks. I'm so excited I finally get to share it with you guys. We're heading to our favorite downhill out here, and we're making our way up, no issues for the Signal Peak. Absolutely love the geo changes. Now, I actually didn't get along with the previous Signal Peak. The seat angle was a little on the slacker side for me. The seat angle on this is absolutely dialed. And I would actually say it's one of my favorite seat angles on an XC bike right now. Go, no problem. That pitch is a little bit, can't even talk, steeper than you would think. And honestly, no issues for the Signal. I do have the bike in the pedal, so I have a 3-position lockout. It's the RockShox twist lock, and I've actually been running it in that middle mode because that middle mode feels so sweet on this thing. Going down 5 Oaks, this thing is so fun on technical descents. Now I'm gonna make a lot of comparison references to the Pivot Mach 4 SL because I feel like that's what this thing feels like. Off the lip, short chainstay. Now this also has a very short chainstay. That's why I bring up the Pivot Mach 4 SL. Very snappy rear end and so controlled through this chunk in these straighter parts. Have a technical descent through here, no issue for the Signal Peak. Sometimes I forget this thing's only 110 millimeters of rear travel. Insane how confident it is. Side line here, so much control from the front end. I do like that head angle as well. I feel like all of these XC bikes are dialing it in with the front end. The RockShox Ultimate Sid up front also feels so plush. Easy on this lower section. Snappy in and out of the corners. That short chainstay, man, that makes for some fun corners. We're going uphill again. And once again, I do find myself in that middle setting. I really do like that pedal setting with the Signal Peak. So with the twist lock, you have 3 settings: open, lock, and pedal. I feel like there's just the right amount of traction for these tech sections in the middle, but still pedals insanely well. Mixing things up a little bit, this is a trail called Lynx. Such a high-speed trail, but no issues for the 110 millimeter Signal Peak. Feels so comfortable through the rattle. I will say this has probably been one of the most quiet bikes I've ridden recently. I love the simplicity of it. I did put on a little bit beefier tires. I have the Recon, not the Recon Race. I like it out here. Our dirt is a little on the slicker side. The traction's amazing, but that front end is just so plush and capable with that Sid Ultimate. Oh my God, this can't be an XC bike. Short chainstay has been taking me a little bit of time to get used to. It's a little on the shorter side in comparison to some other bikes that are similar to this. Do I wish the rear chainstays were a little on the longer side? Yes, but I also think a lot of riders will appreciate how quick the rear end of this bike turns. Now this is gonna be on the technical side. This is a trail called Stair Steps. The Signal Peak inspires me to ride all day long on a ton of trails, not just XC. The year is 2025, you guys. Small bikes rip when it's getting chunky. Let's see if we can hit it on an XC bike. No problem. Oh my God, you guys. XC in the year 2025. Insane. I'm on a 110 millimeter travel XC bike and I'm ripping down a trail that I used to think was full on enduro DH. So cool. Now this little chunkiness, this is where you're really gonna appreciate those short chainstays, like hopping off of that stuff. Anytime you wanna pick that rear or that front end up and get that rear wheel up and over something or off of something, very similar to Pivot. Short chainstay game is amazing in technical terrain, and you feel that with the Signal. At the end of the day, it's still 110 millimeters of travel in the rear. So don't think you're gonna be going riding Sedona hardline. Oh, you might, especially if you have a lot of skill. But this bike is plenty capable in the tech. End of the road, nice. And we're just gonna keep ripping today, guys. That's the cool thing with these short travel rigs. It just inspires you to put in big miles. Turn of events, we got Pivot Cycles, Pivot Rep right there. We got Mark Pro Bike Supply. They're holding a demo. And remember I was telling you guys, this thing feels very similar to the Mach 4 SL. I'll try to get some better lighting for you guys. But you guys can tell, short rear end, and yeah, very similar feel. The only difference being DW link in this, and then single pivot or horse link with the flex stay design. So it's interesting how close they are. But yeah, so if you're wondering how this feels or how this feels, they feel similar. These are 2 bikes I would put together. We have the Wallop Willow in front of us. This is a very classic fire road climbing Laguna. Making our way to some tech. Once again, you guys, I really do like how the Signal climbs. These XC bikes are so sensitive to the smallest of changes. And just that half a degree, so going to a 76-degree seat angle, as opposed to 75.5 that most other XC bikes have. For me, with my long legs, I really appreciate it. And it really does feel like you're at that sweet spot in terms of power. We're on a trail called Laguna Ridge. This is another trail that I ride a lot on enduro bikes. So much control. And I love how nimble this thing feels in and out of corners. Oh my God, I love that RockShox suspension too. Have I ever taken an XC bike on this roll? I don't know, but we're doing it today. Okay, right down here, no issues whatsoever. God, this bike is so capable. Ooh, so good, up and over. Yes, that short rear end on those tech sections, so good. What a fun ride on the Signal, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little rip. Let's get back and talk about it. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is gonna be climbing. Now this is where I really do like the changes to the new Signal Peak. They went a little bit steeper on that seat angle. We're about 76 degrees now, and that's actually gonna be steeper than most other XC offerings on the market, about half a degree. Now half a degree doesn't seem like much, but when it comes to XC bikes, I feel like those small changes make such a drastic difference. And this is probably one of the first XC bikes that I feel like the seat angle is perfect. I like that I'm on top of that bottom bracket, but it's not too steep to where it feels awkward on more flatter terrain. And yeah, I really do love the seat angle on this thing when it comes time for climbs. The bike itself is very light. It has a very good feel in and out of the saddle on climbs. I also really do like the middle setting when it comes time for that remote lockout in this ARI. I feel like that middle setting really is that sweet spot. You have that traction that you want on more tech style climbs, but at the same time too, you can still get out of the saddle, put the power down. It feels very efficient. That middle setting really is dialed there. Another thing that I love about the bike in terms of climbing is that reach. I feel like the front end is very roomy, especially in the XL. I felt very comfortable on more prolonged style climbs. One drawback to the Signal Peak for climbs is, like I said, this bike doesn't have size proportional chainstays. That rear end is a little on the shorter side, so you might find yourself shifting your body weight a little bit more so on more loose style climbs to find that sweet spot in terms of traction. It's very similar, like I mentioned, to the Pivot, the Mach 4 SL. Both these bikes have similar chainstay lengths, and I found on both of them I shifted my body weight a little bit more so to find that sweet spot in terms of traction on steeper, looser climbs. Interesting thing there is that's going to be a little bit more evident on size large and XL frames. I feel like on size small frames, the chainstay lengths are pretty much the same across the board on all those other competitors. That is something to note there, but that also is going to be a benefit on the downhills that we'll talk about now. Now, when it comes time for the downhills, the Signal Peak is a blast. I really do like that they went slacker on the head angle, and at times I almost forgot this was a 110mm travel bike. XC bikes are getting so capable, it really is blurring the line between XC and trail, and you're able to ride much more technical terrain than you would have on an XC bike, say, from 5 years ago. I feel like the bike is very composed in tech, and it definitely inspires a ton of confidence when things get a little on the rowdier side. Now, besides the head angle, I also like that longer reach on here. Once again, it's very roomy, and I feel like that's also adding to the confidence on steeper techie bits. And that short rear end is also appreciated on both technical descents as well as tight and twisty downhills, where you're just really kind of maneuvering that bike. It feels very nimble in those sections. It's very easy to get the bike up and over obstacles or up and down obstacles. So yeah, I really do like that short rear end as well as the nimbleness of the bike overall. In terms of how the suspension feels out on the trails, I really do like FlexDay XC bikes. I think you guys know that from that XC test. I feel like if you can get bikes lighter but still have that horseling style feel to the suspension with remote lockouts, it doesn't matter if things feel a little bit more on the active side because you can either put it in the pedal or the locked out. And I feel like similar to the Specialized Epic as well as the Yeti ASR, this thing felt amazing over tech. And as soon as you want to get out of the saddle and put the power down, if you just put it in the pedal setting or the locked out, you get that efficiency that you want from an XC machine. In terms of any negatives on the downhills, it's going to go back to kind of that shorter rear end. Once again, this is going to be a thing that you're either going to absolutely love, or it's going to be something that you might not necessarily love. That short rear end, especially on the XL, does feel a little on the shorter side. Once again, XC is one of those things that small numbers make such a big difference out on the trails. And it's also the cool thing about buying a bike in 2025. There's so many good XC bikes and each one has its own personality. I feel like this is going to be a bike that's going to reward that more technical cross-country racer that's looking for a fast XC bike, but they still want to be able to have fun on more technical style trails. And it's crazy. I feel like this bike definitely feels like it has more than 110mm of travel out on the trails on the downhills. And yeah, I was very impressed by how this thing performed downhill. So did ARI create the perfect XC bike with the Signal Peak 3.0? And I would say they got pretty close. I really do like that they went simple with the overall design. You don't have anything integrated up front. You don't have a weird headset. Love the FlexDay design on this. I love how light they were able to get it. I like how this thing feels out on the trails. And I like that they realized that everyone wants a remote lockout, especially riders that are looking for the more budget-friendly XC bike. And yeah, I feel like ARI is really thinking of a wide range of riders, from the pro XC rider to the person who's just getting into XC racing. And that is something super cool there. I love the geo changes. I like that they went a little bit steeper on the seat angle than some other other XC bikes out there. I like the roomy cockpit. I love the reach numbers. I will say, me personally, I still like size proportional chainstays. However, I also understand that keeping it nice and short in the rear end gives you a very nimble feel out on the trails. And like I said, it's a huge benefit on more technical style terrain. I love that there's room for 2 bottles on here. We don't have internal frame storage. However, some people might say that's a benefit. I feel like the internal frame storage is still hit or miss when it comes time for XC. And I also feel like they really did nail the price points as well. So I guess the question goes to you guys. What are you guys looking from your XC bike? Are you looking for dedicated XC race setup? Are you looking for something a little bit more trail suited to ride every day, but still have the option to race it? I feel like the ARI Signal Peak 3.0 does a good job of blending both. We have a much more long-term review coming soon to the channel. So we got a lot of things coming at you guys. Be sure to be subscribed to not miss any of it. However, if you guys have any questions about this XC bike or any other XC bikes, let us know in the comment section. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, you guys, ride awesome. Phew.